Since the release of Pope Francis' Amoris Laetitia, various interpretations have emerged regarding its congruence with the Church's official teachings. Certain church leaders, particularly Cardinal Walter Casper, have maintained that the document concurs with the Church doctrine while also paving the way for the inclusion of some remarried divorcees in the sacraments. A group of Italian, American and German cardinals submitted 5 formal questions known as dubia, Latin for doubts, to the Pope and Cardinal Gerard Mueller, the then prefect of the Congregation for the Doctrine of the Faith, on September 19, 2016. Their intent was to address significant confusion surrounding the document. Two prominent Catholic philosophers, John Finnis and Germain Grise, addressed an open letter to Pope Francis highlighting individuals who misuse Amoris Laetitia to endorse erroneous viewpoints that contradict the Catholic faith. Amoris Laetitia is also charged with straying from the teachings of the Church, which constitutes heresy. Pope Francis presents the full ideal of marriage, God's plan in all its grandeur. The definition of marriage central to Catholic discussions is clearly articulated in the Code of Canon. Pope Francis has yet to address the dubia submitted by the 5 cardinals or the concerns raised by Finnis and Grise. However, he has replied to another series of dubia from a different group of 5 cardinals, in which he reaffirms that marriage is an exclusive, stable, and indissoluble union between a man and a woman, naturally oriented towards procreation. Pope Francis shows his historically informed understanding of Catholic practice as he addresses irregular situations, specifically the circumstance of individuals who are divorced and remarried without annulment. The Pope recognizes that they can find themselves in diverse circumstances which should not be categorized into overly strict classifications that leave no room for appropriate personal and pastoral discernment. He identifies 2 approaches to this issue: casting off and reinstating. He asserts that the Church's way has always been the way of Jesus, the way of mercy and reinstatement. Pope John Paul II's insights in Familiaris Consortio emphasize the need for pastors to carefully evaluate individual cases in pursuit of truth. He distinguishes between those who are genuinely strive to maintain their first marriage but have been unjustly abandoned, and those who have contributed to the breakdown of a valid marriage through their own serious faults. Echoing Paul VI's earlier statements on Catholic social teaching, Francis acknowledges that circumstances can differ greatly, making it impossible for him or anyone else to create a new set of rules that are canonical in nature and universally applicable. However, none of these circumstances justify adultery. Amoris Laetitia never claims such a thing. Rather, it asserts that the teachings of the Gospel on marriage and Jesus' perspectives on adultery must never be compromised. However, while the Pope states that de facto unions may not simply be equated with marriage, he emphasizes the need for a constructive response that seeks to transform these situations into opportunities that can lead to the full realization of marriage and family consistent with the Gospel. He asserts that these couples need to be welcomed and guided patiently and discreetly. Benedict XVI also emphasized the importance of considering mitigating circumstances and the necessity of discernment in the pastoral care of divorced and remarried individuals. He stated that out of love for the truth, the Church's pastors are required to carefully evaluate various situations in order to provide suitable spiritual guidance to the affected faithful. Francis firmly states that de facto or same-sex unions cannot simply be equated with marriage. In 2016, Pope Francis highlighted the fundamental differences between men and women, describing them as an integral part of being human, and stated that heterosexual marriages are crucial for effective parenting. This stance corresponds with the teachings of the Congregation for the Doctrine of Faith from 2002. In that year, the CDF released a document titled Considerations Regarding Proposals to give legal recognition to unions between homosexual persons. It is stated that there are absolutely no grounds for considering homosexual unions to be in any way similar or even remotely analogous to God's plan for marriage and family, and that they cannot be approved under any circumstances. Todd A. Salzman and Michael G. Lawler, both critics of the Church's traditional stance on marriage, argue that Pope Francis implies that same-sex couples have the right to become parents, potentially through adoption. The role of the priest or pastor evolves in the light of Amoris Laetitia. Transitioning from a figure who enforces standards, the priest becomes a personally engaged companion on the faithful journey in faith. His responsibility is to thoughtfully assess the various goods at play with a compassionate perspective and a therapeutic intent. This demand necessitates a personal commitment. Neither strict rigidity nor excessive leniency is beneficial. Rather, a personalized and suitable accompaniment is essential, characterized by humility, a recognition that one could easily have committed similar sins if not for the grace of God. Thank you. Magisterium.